Hey, hey, there we go. Welcome to the podcast. Had some little audio difficulties there.
Glad you're here.
Yeah,
Glad we made it.
we did make it. So we're back. Thought we'd continue our series. Look what I got. I got the books in the mail. The new book we've been talking about on this series of episodes, Keep It Light, The Freedom of Priorities in Life, Work, and Love. And since we actually finally got a copy, Dad was able to read it. And I thought we'd talk today about Chapter 4, which Emily hates the title of.
Chapter 4,
Responsibility.
Well, that's not my favorite topic either. But
who likes talking about responsibility? But yet, when you take the proper responsibility, it brings a lot of freedom. I love this quote at the start of the chapter. The price of greatness is responsibility, from Winston Churchill. Yeah. So what was your take on the chapter, Dad?
Well, first of all, the book. I really like the book. And I realized I had read the some of your previous, what do you call it, the first drafts.
Yeah, the first drafts.
Yeah. Book's a lot better. Of course, you streamlined it some, edited some other things. But I like the shape of it, too. I mean, the size of it. It's just really cool. It's different. It's kind of, I've realized it fits in my back pocket.
It does. And it's actually light, physically light.
Yeah. Light paper. It's weird. It's just strange. Throw it in your backpack, whatever your mom's carrying it in her purse and reading it at stop lights, I hope.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't.
All right.
She's reading it anyway. I don't know about stoplights, but anyway. Yeah, she's carrying it around. But anyway, Chapter 4, it's a great responsibility. I'll just ask you some questions about it here, because there's something that I read like on the second page in it. You said that during a season of self-discovery, you found these 5 things out about yourself. And like number 2 runs contrary to the grain of everything we're hearing today, you know?
Yeah.
And so here's what you said. You said, you discovered in this time of self-discovery that you are not special.
Yeah.
You are not special. And that no one's going to come to save you. But I thought we were all special, Joel.
Yes, to Jesus, you have a special place in his heart.
Oh, that's good to know.
But he's not going to make exceptions on the rules about how the world works for you.
Oh, man, bummer. I thought he would. Because I'm a special kid. I'm different from everybody else.
Well, what that was I had put forth minimal effort, and I thought by putting forth minimal effort, the world would see my minimal effort and go, this guy's so great. Let's promote him. So, I mean, one of the things I say there is, here's what I realized in that season of self-discovery. When I don't like something about my life, I have to assume I'm the problem, not the world.
That was really good, because I think most of us view it just the opposite. It's your problem. It's not my problem. You're the one causing me problems.
I'm doing my best. You guys should surrender and do what I need done so that I get what I want. Yeah. And then I go on about it. I say, if I have to assume I'm a problem, not the world, there's something I don't understand either about myself or how people work. So I start reading, praying, and asking questions. I seek out advice, then shut up and listen to what people say. I don't make excuses for why my situation is special. It's not. And then it leads into that. I'm not special. No one's going to discover me and launch me to success. The cavalry isn't coming to save me. I think that is actually a boy becomes a man when you realize the cavalry is not coming to save you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. That's what I say. I have what I need right now to build what I need right now. Big success builds on small success, but I must build and stop waiting for some magic moment or person to propel me forward. God will honor work that starts small and builds slowly.
Yeah.
And honestly, this book, what I came to in this book 12 years ago, I'm just now starting to see the fruits 12 years ago of the stuff I implemented in this book 12 years ago. It's a slow ride.
Yeah. Now, that could be real discouraging to somebody if they're like looking for overnight success, because it's not overnight, it's overnights, many, many nights, many, many nights, isn't it? But the thing is, you could be discouraged. Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going. Well, the thing is, if you've never plant the tree, you never get the fruit. So you got to do it and realize it's not going to happen tomorrow. But it's never going to happen if you don't take the step now to do it. So,
what's that?
Yeah, go at it.
The best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Second best time is today.
Right now. Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's got some good stuff in it there about it. Yeah, and it, when I was reading it, I was thinking the same thing. I'm thinking that idea of, as kids, we're used to mom and dad pulling us out of the ditch or whatever, whatever trouble we get into. And unfortunately, sometimes we can be a 50-year-old kid and mom and dad are still pulling us out of the ditch. And that's mom and dad's problem. That's not your problem. Anyway, another topic, parenting topic. Life is parenting, I've discovered. But I realize it is a matter of growing up when all of a sudden you realize, okay. And, Christians can have a problem with, oh, well, Jesus is coming to save me. Well, talk about that. What is it you're saying? You're saying the cavalry's not coming to help me. I got to do this on my own. But we would also say, well, where's Jesus fit into that?
Well,
You talk about it in the book.
it's Saint Irenaeus. You've got to work as if it depends on you and pray as if it depends on God. I believe God honors our hard work.
Yeah, okay.
But if you're sitting around waiting for poof, a miracle, he dropped the money in that I needed to get out of debt. Just poof, instant. And there's some people that talk about automatic, instant, miraculous debt cancellation. I'm like, if you created the mess, usually you're going to have to pull yourself out of it. I mean, sometimes he throws you a bone. And I do believe that, but I believe it's an object in motion will remain in motion, but an object at rest remains at rest. I came up with that. I'm just kidding.
Really?
It's a law of the universe that once you get moving, it's like success compounds upon success, but you have to get moving. And I really believe when God sees that you've committed your ways to him and you're really going at it with everything you got, he's like, let me breathe in your direction. And he launches you forward. But I think he needs to see your total commitment first.
Yeah. So it's kind of like going back to the title of the chapter, response, ability. You've got an ability, you take your ability, and then God's going to respond and do something to, as somebody put it, it gives God something to say amen to. You do your part, and then he goes, hey, man, I'm with that. I'm on board. He responds and does. Yeah, okay.
Which,
good.
I mean, that fits in with the third truth that I realized during that season. I think I'm so talented and amazing, but I'm not. I am mediocre at best. But I can get better with thousands and thousands of hours of disciplined practice. But no matter how good I get, I always remember the words of Francois de la Rochefoucauld. The art of using moderate abilities to advantage often brings greater results than actual brilliance. I hang my hat on that one.
Yeah.
How many people how many musicians go, that guy's like mediocre. Yeah, but he worked 10 times harder than you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he put himself out there and took the chance and took the risk and did what you were sitting around waiting for the cavalry to show up and save you. Yeah,
exactly. Or somebody to discover me. They're just it's because we read just enough stories of somebody discovering you, and ultimately, I think there is an element of the right person launches you forward. But if you're sitting around waiting to be discovered, no.
Yeah, I think that's where the Lord comes in many times is when you have shown yourself responsible. Then all of a sudden you become an overnight success because he brings somebody along. He opens a door that no man could open.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you find yourself, whoa, how did this even happen? Because he steps in. Again, it's that you do what you're able to, and he responds. That response ability, you do your part, and God does his part. You do the part you can do, and he does the part only he can do.
Which, I mean, we're setting this up perfectly. I didn't realize until just now how these actually flow into each other pretty well. It's stuff I just realized. One is, number 4 was this: no one owes me anything. God will provide for me, but he'll do it through my hard work, using the talents and skills he gave me and the ones I'll acquire as I continue to learn and grow. And then finally, number 5, there are no overnight success stories. All true success, and anything on social media is not real success, has a backstory of work and sacrifice. If I want success, I need to think in terms of decades, not weeks or days. Success is a direction, not a destination. I can be successful the moment I start moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And, I can just see some people out there getting, oh, no, it's God. He's going to do it. It's all God. Just let go and let God. But, I think one of the reasons these principles are true is it's like our life is parenting. It's like a good parent. If you give it all to your kid, he's never going to get any backbone. If it's the resistance that builds the strength. So he wants to see you work for it because that's what builds the strength and the character and the gratitude within you when he comes through and does something that you couldn't do.
Which, how many leaders have we seen that somebody discovered a talent in them early, but their character wasn't able to sustain where their talent got them?
Yeah.
And you see that with so many people that are gifted at speaking or something, they get propelled to this national stage and then they crash and burn in their marriage or some moral issue. And it's like they didn't have the character that had been built through the challenges. Their talent launched them forward, but they didn't have the character to sustain it.
Yeah. You mentioned in here too about a challenge that you mentioned fixing a freezer in Mexico, and how life-changing that was for you.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. That's
well,
good.
I mean, that freezer was what led to me building a retreat center out in the hills. It's this, you get a little victory and you're like, I can build a skyscraper. Yeah. It's just,
well, it didn't quite work that way.
But I never thought of myself as capable of fixing things. I just, you kind of look at it, poke at it, and throw your hands up in the air and go, And I remember calling David the missionary down there, and he's like, well, just look at it. I'm like, I have. And he's like, no, look at it for 20 minutes. I was like, 20 minutes?
Stare at it for 20 minutes.
And he's like, I didn't know what to do, so I called Max. He's a pastor down there, a Mexican guy, amazing guy. And he came over and just started dismantling the freezer. And I'm like, have you done this before? He's like, nah, we'll figure it out, though. Sure enough, we dismantled it and found this little thingy that was frozen over. And we took the little thingy down to a store, and we're like, we need this. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's a whatever.
That's a thingy.
I don't even remember what it's called. We got the exact looking one. We put it in, plugged it in, bam, the freezer was fixed. I'm like, holy cow, like you can actually fix stuff if you look into it and figure out what doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge for a lot of us in our life. I mean, not just fixing stuff, but in our life, you go, I don't know what it is. What's wrong with my son? It's like, well, have you really observed for a few minutes to see what's going on? Because usually they kind of telegraph what's going on. And I think that's an example for all of life. Like you're way more capable of fixing stuff in your life than you think. And that's what's funny to me is I'll coach CEOs who can manage massive organizations. I talked to this one lady. I mean, she's running 100 employees. She's killing it at work. When she gets home, she's like, my 4-year-old, I just don't know what to do. And I'm like, you're telling me a 4-year-old is getting the best of you? Yeah. Well, I just don't know what to do. And you feel helpless in one area while you're like rocking it in another. And it can be really tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think some of that has to do with, you went on to say that that experience kind of helped you shift your locus of control in that. And I remember when I first heard about that concept of internal, external locus, I thought, wow, that's really revelatory. That really helped me with some things. So talk about that a little bit. First of all, you probably need to explain what that's talking about. And then,
I mean, so there's a simple chart in there right there. External locus of control is basically like the extreme of that would be I'm helpless to do anything about this. Other people are responsible for my situation.
So all control is outside of yourself.
Which interestingly, at the core of all character disorders in counseling is an external locus of control. Just throw that out there. An internal locus of control is I'm responsible, my actions make a difference, and I can change things, which the extreme of that in counseling would be called neuroticism, which means you think everything's your responsibility, even if it hasn't. Like I can figure out a way to blame myself for anything pretty much, So there's these two extremes, neuroticism, character disorder.
One is I'm totally a victim.
Yeah.
Everything is outside of control comes from outside of me. And the other is, it's all up to me. This world's going to fall apart if I don't make a difference.
Yeah. And so the challenge is finding a healthy balance of that. And what's really tricky is, as I talk about in the first few chapters, it's a moving target.
Yeah. So like this woman at work, man, she knew she had it. I can do this. I'm capable. I'm able. I can handle this. But when she got home, that little tyrant, he knew he was able and capable too, and he won.
He had a lot of power. Yeah. So that's the challenge with it, is figuring out what is my responsibility. And what's crazy is sometimes something that was your responsibility is no longer your responsibility. And sometimes something that didn't used to be your responsibility is now your responsibility. And you have to constantly be navigating what's my responsibility, what's mine not. And I think the biggest one to navigate is in our relationship with God. If you're working like it depends on you, praying like it depends on God, sometimes you're thinking, oh, this is God's responsibility. He's like, no, actually, I've given you everything you need to just step up and do it.
Yeah.
And then other times we're just driving hard, white knuckling it. And he's like I talk about in the book, he's like, I've never called you to do that. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. You're creating more work for yourself. If you'll just be patient, I'll get it done. But you're trying to do it on your own power.
Yeah, I think we talked about that like in a previous podcast where I was sharing how I'd been stressed out one time, and I realized what had happened is when I went into this situation, it was getting his church back on its footing. When I went into the situation, okay, God, this is you. I can't do it. It's up to you. But all of a sudden, it was starting to happen, and all of a sudden I realized I had grabbed the reins, and that's when I started having these weird headaches and getting stressed out, and all of a sudden, okay, something is wrong here, and when I took some time to reflect on it, I realized I've the one taking the reins. And you can easily do that. It's just easy to morph because you're responsible. You want to be a responsible person. And all of a sudden, you've gone to the other side where you're too responsible. I feel like it's all up to me. And so, it's a tightrope, isn't it?
It's a moving target. And I wish I could tell you, here's how you can figure out how to get it done once and for all, but you constantly have to seek the Holy Spirit's guidance on it. So the book is Keep It Light, The Freedom of Priorities in Life, Work, and Love. This book is available wherever books are sold. And what that means is wherever they sell books, this book is available for purchase. Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, of course, Amazon, which sells like 80% of books. Christian book distributors, which is christianbook.com, no longer cbd.com for obvious reasons. Christianbook.com, they actually have it the cheapest that I've seen it. So I would encourage you to check that out. And yeah, it's up to you. It's your responsibility to get this book. So